This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes, and if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Like the podcast. Nailed it!
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of False Starts with Bill Blank and Chris Shipley. I am your host, Chris. As always with my co-host, Bill. Bill, how are you doing today?
Swell. I have a question.
Sure.
Did you do this on purpose? Like when you use the pictures for the intro, did you purposely make yourself look as cool as possible? And then I'm just,
Well, first of all, it's hard for me not to look cool. It's hard to find a photo, although my daughter Caitlin can probably pop one up pretty quick. No, actually, that I love that picture of you. I wish I had one of me, just being a true fan and just.
Oh, I know, dude. There's so many of them.
I know. So I actually love that photo of you. So
I love it too. I'm just joking. I actually just got another one made. That's like, what a time to be alive. Like, how many people, because of that seat that I have, like, how many people get to have like pictures like that of themselves ever in the stadium? Like,
those are some sweet seats
in so many moments. Yeah. And so I have and technology's so awesome now. I can rip those pictures off the internet and get them on canvas.
I know.
And like, dude, my living room, I have a picture, which this isn't from, nobody took, I took this picture with my phone, but like, nice, Karuna.
What's up,
way to pop in, brother. And so, this picture is of my brother and I and my son just tailgating. And I got a Groupon that was like this crazy amount for Canvas online. Like,
oh yeah.
So I got this huge, it takes up almost the whole wall.
Yeah.
And it was like $30 or $40. And it's amazing. And so like, I buy all these pictures all the time. So whenever my bar gets ready, it's going to be dope.
Sweet.
It's going to be very narcissistic because there'll be pictures of me in the stadium everywhere.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, and something else. Speaking of like Iowa and Iowa State, did you see the footage of that softball game last night?
I didn't see the footage, but I saw the tweets from Brett Bloom and I saw the final score.
First of all, don't
10-3.
Don't play Iowa in a sport that you don't even have at your school.
We have softball. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. Yeah. And when I think they played like the big ball, like, because it looked like nobody was wearing gloves. I saw videos, so they were like bare hand. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool how, the two teams come together to raise all that money. And that's kind of what the sense of what we're doing here, too. It's kind of like a Hawkeye and a Cyclone coming together. Even though I didn't go to school there because I bought everything at Walmart, but
I was not even going to make that joke. $200,000 they raised. $200,000.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I was out of town, but I wanted to go to that. I think that would have been a blast to go watch.
It would have been, yeah.
And my boy Xavier Wampa hit a 3-run dinger.
I think Cooper DeJean hit a grand slam, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just athletes all over the place.
Well, I mean, we're too busy preparing for football season. So that's what I'm sure that was the reason why.
Yeah,
or half our team is still suspended from gambling. One of the two.
Or they're all painting stupid fucking picket fences all over town.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
be offensive.
So you had your first therapy session.
I did.
How'd that go?
You know what? I was at ease the minute I walked in there.
Nice.
Because this is no bullshit. I think talking to you and having this podcast has really opened my eyes up to living what we say.
Yeah.
So
100%.
By me going in there and going, I would be a fraud if I came in here and held back when then I turn around and get on here and tell people to be as open as they can.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I really did take to the fact when he said, whatever we talk about in here is between us.
Mm-hmm.
And that really gave me at ease. And the first session was mostly him just asking some questions to get to know me. and what some of my feelings were on certain things and some family history. And I was pretty open about that. And I was open about that. And it was funny because he would ask me a question, and then my answer sometimes would be 3 or 4 minutes, and I'd be like, sorry, I'm not very good at quick answers or quick,
Right.
And he's like, no, this is totally fine. But also that I think the biggest thing for me was it was pretty easy how quickly I opened up just about some core things that have been bothering me, like loneliness. And I think since COVID hit and me working from home has really done a number on me. I like to be able to sit down and have conversations with people and have fun and work. And, I'm working hard and so on, but it is nice to you take that 5 to 10 minute break where you say something to the person sitting next to you. Next thing you know, you're chatting up what you watched on TV last night or the game this weekend or whatever. I just miss that small interaction. And I think it's affecting me more than I think. And he said that seems to be a pretty big trend for people. So,
well, I think a lot of companies now are starting to lean more towards getting away from working from home than they have been. I mean, it seems to be kind of a 50-50 thing. Some of them seem to be going like almost full bore into it, and then the other ones are like pulling back and wanting people to come in.
Well, and I
think they should do kind of a half and half deal.
And I think a lot of the places do. They do a hybrid system, and I think I'm not generalizing here when I say I think somebody my age at 52 who has grown up in an environment where you went to work to an office every day, you had those interactions or whatever, as opposed to somebody that might be in their 20s who has grown up with a mobile mentality of on their phone and texting and so on, that they don't need human interaction all day long to be able to function and get things done. That I think that's where that splits a lot. You know what I mean? And one way isn't any better than the other. I'm productive at home. I just am bored out of my mind and absolutely sometimes dread walking down the stairs because I know it's just going to be a day of me being by myself.
Well, what would be nice is some kind of people's personal preference being considered, and because believe it or not, and I think that's what happens. I think a lot of places when people want to work from home, they kind of treat them like they're trying to get away with something, rather than better work-life balance. Especially people with kids and stuff. I think so too. If you got kids they're too young to stay home alone, but old enough that you can leave them alone. Yeah. But you're still around. That's working from home is really good for a parent like that, especially a single parent, single mom or dad that has their kids full time or whatever. I mean, it's we should be using these things if we can make life better. It's funny because I was talking to a guy and I was like, I hate whataboutisms. We see that all the time, and it's one of my biggest things that I hate. And he was talking about they're changing the work from home policy and people don't like it or whatever. And I go, well, you don't just take shit away from people after you've given it to them. Right. It's like a perk. It doesn't have to be something that they earned. It's just something that's a perk of the job, and he's like, well, my answer would be like, well, what did you do before that? And I go, well, that's fucking stupid. Right. Well, what did you do before we had indoor plumbing? You've sat in an outhouse and it fucking sucked. So you got indoor plumbing. I mean, Jesus Christ, how fucking dumb. Well, that whole it's like that back in my day mentality. Right. Well, I had to actually walk out into my backyard and take a shit in a hole and spray myself with the hose afterwards. And you should have to do that too, because I had to do it. I've had this conversation in a lot of things, and we won't even get into it. But this whole debt forgiveness thing, and well, if I did it, I paid mine back. So I paid every dime of mine back. You know what I wish for my kid?
that they'd get a break, that they'd have it easier than me. So guess what? I went through cancer 6 years ago. The cancer treatments are a little different 6 years later. Should I be pissed because the next guy that's got esophageal cancer gets a better chemo treatment than I do? Oh, fuck that guy. You should have to go through the same chemo and radiation that I did. That's fucking stupid.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, my God. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the whataboutisms are just insane. I hate it. You hear them so much.
I have a feeling we're going to get into more of them tonight. So
yeah, we may. We definitely may.
I'm going to let you introduce our guest. I'm super excited to meet him.
I'm excited as well because what we try to do is, you know, when we decided to do this podcast, one of the main things is we just wanted to bring everything to the table. Like we want guests from every walk of life with every kind of struggle so that we can open up to every single piece of mental health we can possibly open up to, so that no one is ashamed and everyone can be open. And, you know, obviously we lean towards the male part of the species because it seems like males don't want to be as open about it as females. And that has nothing to do with excluding females. We definitely want them involved.
Right.
We've obviously had female guests. Anyway, but I am excited to bring our next guest because our next guest is we have had a veteran before, and our next guest is also a veteran, Army veteran, and we went to school together. He did at least one tour in Afghanistan. I'm sure we'll get into exactly everything. I don't know all the exact details, but he's seen some shit, y'all. So here's my buddy, Darique Rodriguez. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. A couple of things before we start off, though. First off, honored to be the third beard.
That's right.
Second thing, I want to congratulate Chris for taking the big step to go into therapy. That was huge. And, you know, I congratulate you and hope you enjoyed the journey.
Well, I appreciate that, Darique. You know, it's funny. He asked me what I wanted to get out of this, and I sat there for a second and thought, and I go, you know, I've had conversations with Bill about I don't know that there is an end point. There's not anything where at some point I'm going to go, okay, well, I'm cured now, so I can leave. You know, there's just things that I want to get a handle on, and I know I think what's my position right now is I recognize some of the things that I'm struggling with, and I want to preemptively try to figure those things out rather than be reactive. So
I can relate to that completely. Yeah. I think my main endeavor setting out for this was to try to contextualize things that I have been experiencing, you know, and I think I'm kind of on the right track. I'm not going to say I'm there because I think the moment you think you've arrived, you become complacent.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I'm proud of the progress I've made. Oh, but my third point, Bill, brother, I just want you to know your picture was fabulous, but Chris's is better.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Bathroom selfies and sunglasses are my specialty. I'm just going to say
it. This picket fence looks great in black and white. My aviators.
You keep talking about picket fence. I keep thinking of that play from Hoosiers that wins the game by.
We're gonna run the picket fence on them. Boys, don't get caught watching the paint dry.
I love you.
No school this small has ever been to the state championship.
You'll notice that the measurements in this gym are the exact same ones as Jim and Hickory.
I would have loved it if it was a fucking foot higher and they were just like, man, we'll never beat these brothers.
I think Iowa State ought to wear that uniform for throwback.
Oh my God.
Oh, that would be so great. That would be so great.
Even
I'd want to tackle them like they all did that one kid into the fucking trophy case.
That'd be Fran. We'll throw Fran in the trophy case.
Oh man. So Darique, I don't know you know how much you want to get into. If you want to just go ahead and kind of start off
Yeah,
Where'd
sure.
you what happened basically? I mean, did you go straight into the Army after high school? I know you were in ROTC in high school.
Yeah, I was in
So I mean, it
ROTC
kind of
in
started there,
high
but
school.
ours was Marines, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I did start off in the Marine Corps, at first, and
Okay,
then I transferred over into the Army,
gotcha.
probably around 98. So, yeah. And then I served 12 years all over with various locations like Fort Bliss, Germany, uh, upstate New York, the 10th Mountain Division. And that's where I deployed to Afghanistan twice.
Twice.
So, yeah.
How long were
Uh,
those tours?
both times were 6 months, which was
Okay.
good. They started chopping them up in half instead of making them a full year.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like I got lucky on that aspect because I can't imagine doing a full year. But yeah, from there, the first rotation was good. I mean, I saw a lot of, I was actually,
Oh, we lost you.
uh-oh.
There you go. You're good.
Your mic, I think your mic went off or something. Oh, he's muted.
Yeah, your mic isn't connected, Darique.
All right, how's that?
There you go.
There you
Yep,
go.
there you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
So yeah, I spent the first rotation wasn't bad. There was a couple of incursions that happened around the gate, but I was mostly at Bagram the first rotation, and nobody's attacking Bagram because there's like a mile and a half of perimeter that is just wide open space, and then there's mountains, so they're going to get seen.
Uh-huh.
But the second rotation, I did Bagram and Kabul. And going to Kabul, especially on the roads, that's where we saw the most action and stuff. Like, I provided security for officers and VIPs and things like that to, go. And a couple of roadside bombs happened and seen, kids get blown up. I've seen a lot of death, basically the worst that humanity has to offer, but I don't want to be a Debbie Downer.
Well, Darique, let's go this way. Why don't you tell us, Bill said that you
I just got done watching the first few episodes of the new Dexter.
the market tape where it's 17 minutes we're already off the rails.
So obviously, now have you had like a PTSD like diagnosis of any kind, or is something you'd like to talk about?
Sure. I got diagnosed in October of 2013. Mm-hmm. I got out of the military probably about 2007. Mm-hmm. And yeah, by 2013, I finally got diagnosed. And I was trying to, grind through it and everything. I came back to civilian world, moved back to Iowa, went through culinary school and, got my degree and started cooking and everything. And I would always get these like breathing problems and really bad headaches, Mm-hmm. So it just felt like there was like a vice grip on the back of my neck. So I didn't know what it was, but it felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest too, So panic attacks. But yeah, so after that and a couple of bouts with suicide attempts, I and my second stay in the mental ward, I finally got diagnosed with PTSD, and then I started therapy.
Gotcha.
And so it's been hit and miss, off and on, honestly equated to somebody recouping from addiction.
Sure.
You're going to relapse. Not every moment's going to be perfect. It never goes the way you envision it. There's things that still bother me to this day, like the 4th of July recently. I went out to the woods out in Stevens State Forest outside of Osceola and just set up a hammock, cooked me a really nice meal out there, and just laid under the stars,
hoped it would be quiet, far enough out of everything that it'd be quiet, or were you still hearing the fireworks and everything out there?
No, it was very quiet. All I
Very
heard was
quiet,
cows
yeah.
mooing and singing me tonight. Tonight, you know.
Yeah, and I mean that's, you know, one of those things people don't really think. You know, you can. Everybody's always talking about their pets and stuff on the 4th of July. You know, but it's not too often that it gets brought up that there's you know, vets out there with PTSD and stuff that those fireworks really fuck with. And you're not the only person that I've heard talk about that. And
yeah,
you know, you see so many people on Facebook and shit, you know, like, fuck your dog or whatever. You know, I'm fortunate my dog's not scared of him, you know. I mean, he's a jumpy little fucker too, but like you know, it's just they don't think about human beings that this bothers. And how do you feel personally? Like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you can't tell people not to let off fireworks on the 4th of July, right? So you obviously go out to the woods or whatever. But
I feel like there's only two things I can control: what I say and how I respond to what others say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then so a lot of it is me holding myself accountable, so the world doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because my biggest fear, I broke it down to my therapist this way: 99 times out of 100, I got it. I can handle the situation, but I'm scared of that one time. Mm-hmm. Because it could cost me my life or my freedom. Mm-hmm. I have developed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing. Go ahead.
Oh, I have developed sympathy for guys like Chris Donner and Micah Xavier Johnson. These are horrible people. I'm just going to say that right now.
I don't know who they are.
They're mass shooters.
Oh, okay. Got you.
But they also served in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as a Black soldier, it is a strange feeling doing something like serving your country and then coming back to a country that reminds you that you're nothing but a ninja. You know?
Oh, you don't have to watch your mouth. You can say whatever you
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that you're nothing but a nigga when you come back.
It's and more often than not, it's the hard R.
Right. Yeah, you know, and it's funny you mentioned the Facebook comments and so on, Bill. It seems to me that it's always those guys that don't have any sympathy for veterans that may have PTSD, that are driving around in their Americanized flags and America and back the blue and whatever. And you guys should and you should follow the law and do what the law tells you until it comes time for fireworks, and then give two shits about a veteran that has PTSD, and that might bother him because it's America and I can fire off this fucking firework.
Well,
it's always the same guys.
It lends itself to just kind of that, you know, it's hard for me I never really feel good talking too much about racism, because I in general, I don't necessarily feel like I'm allowed to have an opinion. But it seems to me we run into that thing where, it doesn't just go with black and white, but I see a lot of, as long as someone acts the way I want them to act, they're cool. But if they deviate from that, you know, like I guarantee you, Darique has heard more than once in his life about how he's one of the good ones, probably with zero context. You're one of the good ones. One of the good what exactly? I mean, how often have you heard that in your life?
He's so well spoken.
He is.
Mostly because you're articulate, I'm sure. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And Darique was always like that in high school. I mean, you know, we went all through 4 years of high school. He was always very articulate. And I imagine you probably had some battles internally between, you know, other black kids who were probably on your case because you talk like you were white.
Yep.
Basically. And then you had, you know, probably not so much white kids, but I mean, you probably had the kids who you like were like their token friend or something, and their parents were the ones that were like, you're one of the good ones.
Yeah, I was Urkel before it was a thing, and then
you weren't nerdy though. You weren't nerdy. You weren't nerdy. Like you were articulate. Yes, but I would have never said you were nerdy. Maybe because you didn't wear glasses.
Yeah, that was probably it. And I worked out.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably the other part. Yeah, you were a little bit beefy, so nobody wanted to.
And he could whip your ass. Probably is the other.
Did I do that?
Darique was one of those dudes that would whip your ass, but also let you know he was very disappointed in you.
Accurate.
This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Right. This is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Sad dad.
But yeah, I mean, so how much racist shit was thrown at you like in boot camp?
None, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they've come a long way, I take it. Like I'm sure that drill sergeants back in the day just went at you.
Right. I'm sorry, my phone's ringing and I gotta find it and kill it. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, right. You're good. So like boot camp and stuff, the drill sergeants didn't
no, actually in boot camp the drill sergeants were pretty funny.
Really?
You know? Yeah. Like we had one who was like the 6'6" New Zealander. His last name was Naropo, and he was like he had this dango stole my baby accent, you know. And then like, you know, some from like the South, black ones from the South. So, you know, when they rip into somebody, it was just hilarious how they did it. They'd be like, I'll smoke you till you die, private. You're 2 brain cells from retarded, private, you know. It was just
probably can't say that anymore.
No, this was 90s.
Military. Yeah. I mean, even I wonder if that's leaked into the military at all. Like, I wonder if a drill sergeant would get in trouble this day and age for saying that word.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I can't decide if that's good or bad, to be honest.
It's different. It's different.
I mean,
it's considerate, but it's different.
The thing is, as tactical and as important and different missions can be, and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I got to think really for the most part, it's just kill. Yeah. I mean, they're just training you to be a killer.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you supposed to come home?
A bunch of tryhards peacocking to prove their manhood and masculinity, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you, so what percentage of guys would you say end up actually having to kill?
I'd say probably 1 to 5%, if I'm being honest.
See, I assumed that was probably the case. I mean, I know that there are so many more jobs than just kill, but the training, at least boot camp, is kill. And I imagine after that, your training gets a little more.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the detail too, right?
Theoretically, everybody's supposed to be an infantry soldier if there's nothing to do, you know? So, like, you know, my MOS was 14 Juliet. That's a air defense early warning enhanced communications operator and maintainer. Basically, I run satellites and radars so that they could track planes and shoot them down. But when there's no air threat in Afghanistan, guess who's guarding the shack or stirring the shit pots or
right?
You know? Yeah, so kind of a lot of that.
I want to circle back when you said that you were when you had went into therapy and it was something that had saved your life after a couple episodes of attempts of taking your own life.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what we had a conversation with at the beginning was my recognizing that it was time for me to get help. When you went and got help, was that because you recognized that and seeked it out, or because somebody put you on that path?
My daughter put me on that path, honestly. She visited me in the mental hospital after my second attempt when I was drunk and threatening to blow my brains out and had the gun in hand and everything. She was at school. But by the time I got out of my 72-hour hold, she came and visited me, hugged me, was glad I was there, and asked me, "Why did you want to leave me, Daddy?" And that broke me, because I honestly wasn't even thinking about her. And I could tell you in retrospect now, I've been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. I have been a shitty husband and a shitty father, because of this stuff. There is plausible evidence that, this has affected my life in a great deal. But I also see it as an opportunity for me to develop my emotional intelligence, my resilience, and turn my lemons into lemonade,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do now. I meditate, I attend my mental health therapy sessions. I take my meds. I mind my own business to go to work and go to school,
And what are you doing? Meditation is something that is a little bit foreign to me. I've heard a lot, my dad even has talked about it, and a lot of people. And it seems, I don't know, it almost seems foreign to me to be able to even do, like, what is your approach? What do you do when you meditate?
I can't lie to you. At first, it was hard. It just seemed like everything, I couldn't settle my mind for more than like a span of 30 seconds to a minute,
Mm-hmm.
But once it happened, I had to teach myself to stop judging it and just experience it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a tendency as human beings to look at everything and go, "Oh, it shouldn't go that way. That's not normal. That ain't right. What's right? What's wrong? Why is it in our hands? Why do we think we're in control? Let it go,
100% why I recommend shrooms. That is exactly the perfect, because if you sit there and try to define anything, it's like, no, just experience it.
Yes. And I could tell you too, shrooms helped me a
lot. Good. See, there's some backup for you, Chris.
There you go. All right.
This whole podcast, every episode.
He advocates for shrooms.
I'm telling you, man, if you've got like anxiety issues and all this stuff like me, in fact, I just ate shrooms Friday. And the whole entire time I kept saying, I love this fucking drug so much. I was just like, God bless this drug. I mean, I was with a bunch of friends for my birthday. Like, we all hung out, and all we did was cry laughing to painful levels. Like, I mean, I was down on all fours at one point and couldn't get up.
Yeah, you get the giggles bad.
Yeah.
Everything was so goddamn funny. And you can't tell me that's not good for the soul.
It's funny that we have these conversations about shrooms and we've had conversations about marijuana, and the fact that the stigma of that is supposed to be bad, but it's perfectly acceptable and normal to take a hard narcotic for depression or whatever. And the whole purpose of that is to pharmaceuticals making money and keeping a grip hold on that instead of those natural drugs that don't harm your body and are not addictive and don't mess with your mind at all.
Well, because if shrooms were legal, I got buddies I grew up with that would be getting rich. They don't want that to happen.
Right. Yeah.
They want Procter and Gamble to get rich.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. I mean, but if doctors could actually prescribe things like this, I think the world would be a better place. Like Karuna, right. Ding, ding, ding. I mean, you can always follow the money. If the right people could get rich off of it, it would be fine.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I know that my skepticism about the medical profession is deeply rooted in a lot of history and stuff too. But at the same time, it does work, and it's natural. And I don't see much different from the lab coats to the block boy.
No,
they're exactly the same in my eyes. Just one wears a nice suit.
And one of them wears a tracksuit. And don't tell me the dude wearing the tracksuit don't have it up here either.
Yeah.
See, the dude in the tracksuit will be like, hey man, you might only want to take half of that.
Right.
Where the doctor will be like, this much at this time. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah. Yep.
You better listen. If the dude tells you to take half, you better listen to it.
Let me give you 25 prescriptions. That'll fix you.
Yep. Because the guy was in my office earlier today and sold me on it, and now this is the drug that I'm going to prescribe.
Well, how many times have you been to the doctor and you walked out with a free sample of something?
Yeah. Right.
It's your first fucking hit of heroin. Hello. It's the same fucking concept.
Well, and the drug companies and the insurance companies, and we're going to get off in this whole tangent now, but I had a physical and so on with my doctor 2 weeks ago, and I've been trying to get on this Wegovy, which is supposed to be to help people lose weight and things like that. It's specifically prescribed for diabetes, but it's so hard to get your insurance company to approve that if you're not diabetic. But yet all the things that would help me health-wise if I was able to drop some weight.
To prevent you from being diabetic.
To prevent me from being diabetic or have heart problems or knee joint problems and everything else that the insurance company is going to pay for. It's just mind-boggling to me the way the system is so fucked up.
Well,
and
like
it spreads like wildfire throughout everything too, like the food deserts, the environmental deserts, and the bureaucracies, geography, all of it plays a part.
Yep.
So when take yourself back to your second tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how far apart were your two tours?
A year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 6 months, a year goes by, and then another 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. So during that year, you were just home training?
Yeah. Training and then preparing for the next rotation.
Gotcha. So that's during that second tour, I guess, really at any time, did you believe in what you were doing? Did you believe in
the first
why
time
you were there?
Absolutely. The first time I was gung ho. Yeah.
That's what that's kind of what I was wondering. The second time, what did you still wonder?
No, I was like, fuck, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
But I also felt obligated to my brothers, that, hey, if you're going to be over there, I'm going to be right there beside you,
Right.
Now, this is also something, this brings about a perfect fucking metaphor. I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but I talk about this all the time. It's because it's in the training, like the soldiers. The military, I think, is a good microcosm of just how capitalism and society works in America, pretty much. Because you've got your soldiers, right? And the idea is to keep them dumb, basically, keep them with fighting for each other, right? Basically what I've always said is that the military in general, based on the way it's the training, and I'm not saying that, I don't mean that the mentality is the exact same, but it's Bloods and Crips with money.
Yes.
Like, it is no different when you look at the way, the gangs were and are and everything, it's always been that's why your gang wars happen. That's why this drive-by happens over here. And then 2 days later, a drive-by happens over there. They killed our boy. We're going to go kill their boy. And that is more or less what they teach you in the military. I don't know this. I haven't been in the military. That's why I want somebody here that is that. Am I way off base?
I don't think
feel
so,
like it's
honestly.
The exact same mentality. And so now they get you to go back, even though you don't want to, because of your obligation to your brothers, not to the United States of America,
Right.
to your brothers.
Right. I think the one thing that I've learned over the years is that one man's terrorist is another man's patriot or freedom fighter.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, in 9/11, we were taught to hate Muslims. You know, Vietnam, we were taught to hate Vietnamese. Korea, Koreans. World War II, the Germans. You know, and then the Japanese internment camps and everything. We did some horrible shit in the name of war.
Yep.
You have to dehumanize them in order for everybody to want to kill them.
In the name of what we feel is right.
Yeah.
Right.
And all it displays is the worst that humanity has to offer. Yes, there is valor
100%.
there. There is honor there. And it's a lot of hard work and noble work. But at the same time, there's very powerful people in high positions that do not think of the repercussions of their decisions.
Right, because they're playing with chess pieces, not human beings.
Right, exactly.
Which is also what you get taught in business, how to treat your fucking employees. Otherwise, you're not going to be a successful businessman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just feel like capitalism is the problem across the board. It's not that I want to be I'm not a fucking socialist, but I just feel like this is what capitalism does.
There is a bourgeois class and a proletariat class. You know, there's, I would say, more communist than, you know, capitalist, but I do see your connection though. And there's not much difference between communism and capitalism, honestly.
No, there isn't. The rich, I mean, especially the way capitalism is in this country, it more or less is communism, because in communism, the top 1% own everything, and which is the government.
Right.
In our case, it's not the government; it's just big corporations. But they control the government because they're so fucking rich. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, biblically speaking, they're King Solomon at the table, and we're all Lazarus trying to get some crumbs.
Yeah. when the United States went into Afghanistan, but then switched gears and went into Iraq, that was for me, like, I could justify in my eyes, I guess, going to Afghanistan after 9/11. At the time, knowing what I know now and realizing that really it was Saudi Arabia the entire time and all that stuff, and there was a lot of politics there. But when we pivoted to Iraq, I think that was the first time as an adult I recognized that maybe not every single thing the United States does is in the right. How would the history books write if the situations were reversed and we had nothing to do with an attack in another country, and then all of a sudden Iraq decided to invade the United States, drive George Bush out of office, and find him in a hole, and then try him and execute him, and then try to rebuild a government in their form. The history books would not write that very well from a United States perspective. But somehow it was okay that we did that. And it's hard to say that and then be branded as un-American and unpatriotic. It's not that I didn't support those troops and those and the people that were on the ground. They had no choice but to follow orders. But history should not see that as the morally right thing to do as far as the United States goes.
And it's probably not going to look favorably upon the United States, especially somewhere down the road. Well, unless they win certain elections and try to change the history. But
right,
you know, and that's another indicator.
Definitely going to try to do that. I mean,
right?
They are,
and that brings about, you know, this is a perfect thing. You know, how does and all these things affect your personal mental health, and then so on top of that, this is all stuff. All the military stuff could have happened to anyone. It has nothing to do with your race or anything like that. That could be, you know, what you experience as far as overseas didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Now you come home and it matters, and it matters your whole life up until then. like Tulsa, for example. How old were you when you learned about Tulsa?
College.
How fucking sad is that?
I was 49.
Yeah, I didn't even
3 years
learn about
ago
it until
during
recently
2020.
because of my friends talking about it on Facebook and shit. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we had a Black History class at North, and I don't even think it got taught about in that. But I don't know. I never took it. But I just can't believe I never heard about it. I also would find it hard to believe that Mr. Cawthorn wouldn't teach it.
Oh yeah, he would talk about it if he knew.
Yeah. So did he even know? I don't know. You know, maybe I'll
I think he knew.
Facebook message or something, because I think he probably did. You take his class?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either. Yeah. So I'm probably talking out of my ass, but
I wasn't black enough.
You were too articulate.
Yeah, it's too well spoken.
Martin Luther King. What's the answer? Martin Luther King.
But honestly, I think about Afghanistan in two different aspects. Like, first off, it was a lie, you know. Yeah. But the other thing too is the way we left. Like seeing those guys holding on to those plane wheels and just falling off, ready to die in order to get away from the Taliban. I was sad. And it was just like, what the fuck was it all for? You know?
So these are like guys that were locals?
Yeah, the local nationals, the civilians in Afghanistan. And I'll tell you, a lot of those civilians, and this is just my perspective, I'm not speaking for a unit or organization or anything, but a lot of those people are cool, very hospitable, very friendly, very supportive in spite of the adversity that they face, you know? Mm-hmm. The women have absolutely no rights there. No rights. I mean, honestly, coming back home and hearing our ladies bitch about the things that they have, I feel like they're a little bit entitled because I've seen the worst, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen women get raped by the village elder or something like that, you know? It's horrible there. It's horrible. And I think we get a lot of liberties that we take for granted, you know?
Sure.
And sometimes, yeah.
How much of that stuff's relative, though, you know? Like when you're talking about women, for example, you know, you come back home and you see what our women are bitching about here and yada, 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 right? How much of that is relative because of like when, like during, let's go back to like when the BLM movement was really, you know, in full force.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many, when we were talking about whataboutisms off the air, how many fucking old white guys were saying shit like, well, back in the 60s, you should be happy about the way you got it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, can you almost, I mean, I know it's not the same as bitching about a Louis Vuitton purse.
I don't know if that's what they're bitching about,
I'm not trying to reach that far.
Yeah, not having.
But it's like how many things are kind of, you know, relative to that though. You know, the personal experience, I guess.
We are all a byproduct of nurture and nature, and some of us are nurtured and natured in entitlement and individualism. Mm-hmm. You know. I see a lot of the civilians, especially the males, who like to try so hard to prove how manly they are, you know, and it's a performance to me because I can tell just by the look who's really been through some stuff and who hasn't, you know, and, you know, it ain't about your swagger and it ain't about how big you can peacock or puff your chest or anything like that. You know, and they just, yeah, it's a performance. And I kind of feel bad for them because I know that they're stuck. But I will tell you this, though, it has taught me how to see people where they're at. You know, I now accept, like when I'm dealing with a certain audience, that this is how these people feel. You know, it ain't mine to judge. It ain't mine to fix. And please do not, that was my biggest problem with 2020. was my friends, not you. But
was I one of the good ones?
You're one of the good ones. You're so well spoken.
Dude, I can sling ebonics like nobody's business. I'm one of the good ones.
But my biggest complaint though was,
I want you to finish that thought, but that just reminded me of something and I didn't want to forget. So Darique and I and another friend of ours, RJ Collier, he's a singer. We were gonna do a podcast together and we recorded kind of like a pilot episode. And we were talking about race a lot. And it was RJ's also black, and it was the three of us. And RJ called me the N-word. And we're in the middle of a conversation and he called me the N-word, and then he was like, and then he stopped and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so celebrating in the back of my head right now." But like I was saying,
yes.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't throw you off too much.
No, it's cool. But my biggest complaint though back then was that they always wanted to make me the designated black representative.
100%. Yes.
Like I'm the black translator or something. And I'm just like, that's not
so
how this works.
It's so insulting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny you said that, because I remember the day after the first big march downtown, I got stuck and I was delivering pizzas for Fong's. And I came down 4th Street and they had just told us all to go home. They were about to board up the building. And so
isn't that funny?
Oh my God. And I made sure that I had the big Fong's pizza thing on top of my car. I used to just leave it in the back seat, never put it up there. But I was like, I'm putting that shit up here. And so I come off of Court onto 4th going towards Walnut. The crowd turns off of Walnut onto 4th, right? And it was like race against time. And I'm trying to get into that by Fong's. And so I'm like, if I'm going to turn into this, if I'm going to beat them to the alley, I'm basically going to have to floor it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, now if I floor it, they're going to think I'm coming at them. So I just had to basically kind of like do one of these and let my car just roll and hope that everybody just walked around me.
Just parted the seas to let you.
They're going to start jumping on my car. I'm going to knock somebody out and then I'm going to get mauled. And thankfully I got right in. And everything was fine. But I called the next day. I called into KXNO. They were talking about it. And I remember Ross, when he took my call, said, "This is probably the only white guy I know with the balls to call in and talk about race." But the number one thing I said was, I go, if you want to know what to do as white people right now, number one, shut the fuck up. Number two, follow your friends.
Yeah. Don't
ask your black friend what to do as if they speak for all black people. That's the most insult. In fact, that's almost racist. It's very insulting to act as if your friend isn't just an individual with their own mind. Like there's this fucking collective mindset that the entire race has. So,
we're not a monolith.
You don't do that. Right. So I was glad to hear you say that, because that was like the first thing I said, because I was getting really annoyed at the grandstanding. I was getting really annoyed. I remember a kid talking about, because a lot of that, the people that were breaking shit, that were throwing shit, it was skinny fucking white kids. Yeah. And then it goes on the news, and of course, anyone that is of the anti-BLM attitude, it looks like they think black people did it. It reinforces everything that this is violent. 90% of the protesters in Des Moines were white. Because you know why? There's not enough black people.
Yeah.
The cop car that got, it's not to say there weren't some black kids out there fucking around, but like 90% of the damage was caused by white kids. And I remember a kid talking about, somebody said, "Were you there last night?" He's like 19. And I remember saying, "You're fucking 19. You're from Urbandale. Shut the fuck up."
But when you look at the narrative in Central Iowa, though, a lot of it is like when they're white, they're rationalized. When they're black, it's criminalized.
Yes.
You know, and that narrative
That's
is
a good
strong.
black and white way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so well spoken, Darique.
Not that there isn't nuance, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, more or less.
Yeah. But yeah, and you would hear the same things. Like you would see something on Tucker Carlson. Next thing you know, 10 people are chiming in on Facebook saying the same thing Tucker Carlson said. And when you go out to Target, you know, people walk up to you and randomly say, I think this and I think that. They were boarding their buildings up like Paul Revere was saying, oh, the niggas are coming. The niggas are coming. You know, it was like unbelievable and relatively peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for the most part, especially around here, and I remember watching. I don't know if it was on the news or somebody took a video of it, and I was so glad it happened because you started seeing there was construction stuff happening downtown. Don't get me wrong, but there were like pallets of bricks just sitting on a fucking sidewalk.
Right?
Like, that never happens. People were trying to bait people, and I remember this white kid walking up to a black kid and handing him a brick, and a black woman in her car screaming, don't hand him that fucking brick, and fucking screaming like you're trying to get him in trouble, fucking all this shit.
Yeah, and I honestly felt like a lot of people infiltrated those
100%
situations trying to antagonize.
Yeah. Well, and I remember that the white kid, he was this little white kid that was working at Fong's at the time, and I snapped on him. And if there was some kind of HR in the restaurant business, he was ready to go to HR. But I was just, I was like, dude, this, it does just basically tell him he's a fucking idiot. And he goes, this is not what it's about, man. It's about government thinking. I go, no, see, this is where you're wrong. Like that is what it's about.
Is he one of those ACAB kids?
Yeah, I mean, he was just a fucking follower. He was just, I remember another girl bragging about being one of the people that fucked up the cop car, and I'm like, what are you mad about, you fucking pretty white girl from West Des Moines? Fuck off! Like, stop it. You are not mad about anything. And that was the gist of my phone call that day. I was like, if black kids want to go,
I remember this phone call. I do remember this phone call. I also remember you had posted something similar on your Facebook earlier that day.
Yeah, there was a video, I think. Yeah.
I do.
So I was like, if black people want to go out here and fucking burn the city down, more power to them. They deserve to be pissed off. Fucking burn this motherfucker down. It's fine. And if you want to loot Target, loot the fuck out of Target. Loot Walmart. Just don't loot Joe's lawnmower repair across the street. Leave Joe alone.
I can tell you honestly, though, they have been afraid of that since 1808.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Haiti got their independence from a slave revolt, ever since then, slave owners have been worried about what we're going to do. That's how our police were formed, from slave patrols.
Yeah.
And then here come the laws and everything else. And
I mean,
I'm just happy to see white people waking up.
I remember.
Yeah, well, I remember a couple of things. Like, it's like you said, laws. These just say it without saying it things, like the dress codes at nightclubs.
Yeah,
you would walk. Yeah. I remember going to this nightclub in West Virginia, and it was in Huntington, where Marshall is, and there's a sign. First of all, there was a no rap sign on the jukebox. And then there was a sheet of paper that had like the dress code, which is no white t-shirts, no sagging jeans. Just you run the gamut, no hoodies.
No Timberlands.
No do-rags.
Rags. No hats.
No hats. No backwards hats.
So basically, if you wanted to wear matching hat, shirt, and shoes, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And those are those things like, I mean, this fucking song, this stupid fucking Jason Aldean song that everybody's talking about right now.
Oh, I was just going to get to that.
And those are what we're back to the whataboutisms. One guy I saw, what about the rap song? Here's the lyrics to this rap song I heard. Like, oh, okay, there's number one. You knew that was coming.
What about black on black crime?
Yeah. Worry about black on black crime.
Earlier, when Darique was talking about fake tough guys and things like that, I thought maybe that was where we were going to bring in the Jason Aldean song.
It's
because
way perfect. Yeah, I saw a couple. I haven't even heard it or listened to it.
207,000 people.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to give that fucking song a view or a listen or whatever the fuck. If there's any stats it could possibly get off of me, I don't want it. So I haven't heard it. I saw a couple of shots of like the video. Like there's one where there's obviously a fucking plantation house behind him. It's all dark and he's all fucking standing there like.
Yeah, it was
like,
a courthouse.
Try to
an 18-year-old
my plantation, motherfucker. I mean, that's what it looks like.
It was a courthouse in Tennessee where an 18-year-old was lynched.
Oh, even better.
Yep.
And and you know what? He probably didn't even fucking know it. It's totally.
I bet he knew it.
Yeah, you think he did? Or well, I mean, somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody knew what it was, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to send a subliminal message,
Yep.
And that's I mean, and people continue to do that, and that's how they rally their. I mean, fuck, Kim Reynolds said on Facebook, like, "Good day to listen to Jason Aldean." How obvious is it that you're trying to rally a base? It's so obvious.
And she wasn't the only one to do that.
And that's what country singers do. That's what I mean. That's all this was. This was designed. He's making more money because of it, because these redneck motherfuckers are going to go, I'll stand with Jason Aldean.
Bill, how different is it from crip walking or,
when, crip walking.
When Snoop is crip walking on the Super Bowl and everybody's like, oh, I don't like it. Oh, no, that's gross,
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? You're doing the same fucking thing, too, with your red hat.
100%. Well, and by the way, Snoop is performing that for everyone. Like, Snoop has a broader audience than fucking Jason Aldean.
Yeah. I absolutely love
like
what Dr. Dre said in that press conference when they announced that they were going to do that. He said something to the effect of, we're going to prove everybody that we have just as good a music and just as good of a show as anybody else. And that we can reach and we can entertain other aspects of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really,
no, everybody was jumping. That I mean, that was your. I would say that probably Dr. Dre the Chronic is probably the first real crossover album where white people were, at least white kids got into rap because of that album.
Yeah.
I mean, you had white kids in fucking Carroll, Iowa getting into that shit.
Yeah. Well, I do remember at Hoyt, kids listening to NWA.
Yeah. But it wasn't crossed over, like
it wasn't at Hoyt.
Well, I'm saying like you had white kids that got a hold of an NWA album, but it wasn't like if you look at the country as a whole, no. NWA, you felt like you were getting away with something. You heard that shit.
That was how I was.
Like, your parents
that
didn't know.
That was how I was when I bought Ice-T's first album.
Oh,
as a white kid at late 1980s, I thought I was the shit when I bought that Ice-T album.
Did you walk up to the counter at Sam Goody looking like you were hard when you bought it?
Yeah, I did. Right. Yep. Crip Walk at least has some swagger.
Agree.
Hey, I'm gonna take this break real quick for Revelton, and then we're gonna come back and we'll continue with Darique.
At Revelton Distilling Company, everyone has become a part of the Revelton family. From the Taylors and their daughter who helped perfect their award-winning gins, to the team who installed Lucy, our 33-foot-tall custom-made still, right down to the local farms that provide our coveted corn, and even the cows on those farms who consume our mash byproduct. Want to see the farm to flask come to life? Now you can tour Lucy and find out where we take Iowa's harvest and transform it into our finest spirits. Choose between a 45-minute tour or find out even more by scheduling a VIP behind-the-scenes tour to get the taste of the full Revelton experience. You can visit them at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or find all of Revelton's award-winning spirits at any local grocery or spirits retailer.
All right,
Yeah.
we're back.
Hey,
So
is Revelton making the Swarm vodka?
no, they are not.
Who's making that? Do you know?
Foundry, I think.
Foundry. God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
Sorry to do a commercial for somebody else.
that's all right. That's all right because I think that they are going to do maybe a special barrel pick for the picket fence people. So
Yeah.
you'll be excited for that.
Right on. Yeah. I hope they all get alcohol poisoning. Anyway.
Darique, what are you up to now? What are you doing now?
Now I work at a youth shelter called Ellipsis on the south side. I'm an overnight youth care worker there, and I go to school full time at Grandview, studying for social work, and hopefully I'll be able to get into graduate school and get my master's and become a licensed therapist.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Pay it forward back.
Did you
So
ever,
is this-
Forward.
so is that a lot of well, I mean, yeah, I mean, my therapist isn't like a psychologist or a psychiatrist. She's a social worker basically. But I think she has had to study a lot of psychology. Are you having to do that, or is that part of the master's more so?
No, there is a lot of psychology, a lot of sociology, a lot of writing classes and things, to learn how to contextualize stuff, which was one of my goals initially. I wanted to be able to put what I feel into words, and I figured what better way to do it than by helping others to get past the obstacles that I had to face, or at least let them know they're not alone and have some relatability,
Do you journal?
A lot.
Yeah.
I journal a lot.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I should maybe do a little bit more. I did find myself keeping a dream journal at one point because I started getting I contacted you about this. This was years ago actually, because I was still married, I remember at the time. But I just started hearing about lucid dreaming. Have you heard of lucid dreaming, Chris?
Yes.
So I started like really looking into it, right? And I was listening to a couple podcasts about it and stuff, and so I started keeping a dream journal because I was like, how fucking cool would it be to be able to control your dreams like 100% of the time? Then I would find myself like, I mean, that'd be better than any drug. And I would probably just want to sleep all the time.
Right.
But like, and then I started hearing how it was a lot of times a way to cope with PTSD. They were working with a lot of vets with PTSD on lucid dreaming and stuff. I mean, obviously this is like, these aren't medically sanctioned things, but anyway, I remember I got a hold of Darique and I was like, have you heard of this? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I heard it could be good for PT. Like for me, I just want to fly and like bang supermodels in my dream. I just think it'd be fun, but like it might actually help you.
Oh.
I can tell you my experience. I used to have really bad night terrors about the dead bodies that I've seen. And it would be like I'm having a regular conversation with them. But at the same time, their flesh is like rotting away, bugs all in it and stuff. Haunted me. I was like afraid to go to sleep for a while, And then when I started, partaking in psilocybin treatments, then it started gradually declining and it didn't become as intense anymore, So, yeah. And now I don't even remember my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. I mean, for you, that's probably fantastic.
Mm-hmm. No swinging on the wife or anything anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I did. I remember I elbowed my ex-wife in the head one time in my sleep. I was fighting. I remembered the dream too. I don't remember what it was now, but back then I remembered it. Like I was literally like fighting somebody.
Oh, the kids learned at a very young age, don't tap dad.
Yeah, we sleep
Oh,
in.
I bet.
Oh yeah.
I bet.
Oh yeah. I bet that would have been terrible. Oh.
Dad will swing on you.
So did you ever like look into any lucid dreaming or anything like that? Did you ever?
I wanted to try, and I still do want to try ayahuasca.
Yeah, me too. We've talked about that on here before. I kind of want to go to I think there's a place in Iowa.
Don't tell me that.
I swear to God, I googled like Iowa ayahuasca or something. I think
is this like this dark retreat that Aaron Rodgers did, where you go in a house? And
yes.
You stay in there. Is that exactly what this is?
Yes.
That sounds terrible. Or you can just come and do my job and sit in my basement with me, and then
you vomit, you shit yourself a little bit, but you also unfuck your brain.
Yeah, it's life changing. Like it makes you like. It's like doing 10 years of, from what I hear, it's like doing 10 years of therapy in like 3 days.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because in therapy, you do, especially, you're sober and you're in therapy, right? And like you do, even though you want to be open, you will tend to hold back some stuff, and you're not going to be quite as honest with yourself as what ayahuasca will force you to be. So you'll face it, you'll confront it, you'll deal with it, and then you'll put it in the rearview mirror. I mean, that's for the most part what I'm hearing. I can't imagine it can't be a one size fits all thing. I mean, I can't imagine everybody has the same experience, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure some people are swimming in darkness.
Yeah. And I also know it's very intense. I mean, it's, usually you're puking, and some people are shitting their pants, and like there's like some
none
shit
of that
going
sounds
on.
like
and I'm just like, I want that.
That doesn't sound like a good time to me. No, this is something you're not doing for fun.
No.
I mean, it's a hallucinogen, and I'm sure there are people that have fun when they do it, but that's not the idea.
Yeah.
The idea is honestly like therapy. Put it this way, Chris. Everything you're dealing with right now mentally that's like bugging you the most, right?
Right.
Are you telling me that you wouldn't puke and shit your pants one time to never have to deal with that the rest of your life?
Okay, yeah, I would. I would.
That's a solid
question. Honestly.
I mean, I've done that just shortly after going to Taco Bell, so I'm not sure what the difference is.
I sharted my third day in the hospital.
Yeah, you did. Karuna says ketamine therapy having been having.
I've heard that.
Results. Yeah, I've done both, and why I would recommend. I can't pronounce that word.
Ayahuasca.
If you're called to it. I personally prefer ketamine for healing. There you go. Straight from
the therapist's mouth.
The therapist's mouth. That's right.
Yeah, DR is good too.
And I do know some people that have been doing some ketamine therapy.
Yes, it is.
I don't think that much easier. Yep. I don't think I need to necessarily go all that far. Ayahuasca or ketamine, like either one. I don't feel like it's a need. It's just like he was just saying, if you're called to it. Like I don't feel called to either one now, and I think that's why I haven't done it yet. Because right now I want to do it more because of the experience, not because I need to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so nothing's really calling me to it. It's just like, Chris saying it's not my idea of a good time. Well, it kind of is mine. Like,
yeah.
Even though I'll puke and shit my pants. First of all, you might not,
There is that.
It's kind of like, some chicks shit when they give birth, some don't. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But you just got to know that there's a possibility, and
you will laugh, you will cry, you will sob uncontrollably.
Yeah. And I think that's why I like shrooms. I've never cried on shrooms. Like shrooms just make me happy and giggly, and they make my body feel good. And
yeah, it's the one time where I'm actually freaking hilarious.
You're always hilarious, just unintentionally.
Yeah.
I've never hung out with you ever and not laughed. But that's because I'm smart enough to keep up with you, you know?
Yeah, this is all Gen X right here, baby.
Yeah, because you're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
You communicate on a different level.
You're well spoken.
Yeah.
That's going to be my new thing now.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the fucking worst. And see, I love like haha. See, I knew it. Now it becomes peer pressure.
I'm doing the Muppet dance.
Try if you're friends with Karuna on Facebook and you see the photos of his adventures, there is no doubt that he knows a lady.
I have seen him, and I am so happy he's so liberated,
dude. I love it. I know. I've been like, I think it was just a show. I don't know if it was String Cheese. Was it String Cheese? I think it was a String Cheese show he was just at or something, showing some pictures of. I know the like people that go to outdoor shows and like festivals and stuff. It's such a cool group of people. It's so fun to be around. You know, I missed out through that. I missed out on a lot of that stuff, you know, because of my career choice, and you know, I was working when everybody else was playing, but like I went to Hinterland. I went to all 4 nights of Hinterland last year, and I'll be there all 3 nights this year. Like I'm doing a lot more of that stuff now. I'm just trying to smell the roses a little more now that I'm getting older.
Oh, you getting your Matthew McConaughey on, huh?
Yeah, you know, all
Start
right.
living.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
I just, you know, I mean, I ain't got money like that, but I do have some disposable income, so
not mad at it.
Yeah,
good for you. I mean, get out, see. There is so much more to see than Iowa. As much as
see that
love Des Moines.
That's the thing, though, is like I spent my whole career. I spent 20 some years traveling the country, so like I want to stay home more now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go. I don't want to go to the music festival in fucking Kansas. I want to go to the one that's here. Like,
yeah. I want to travel.
Like, I want to hang out with my friends that I grew up with. You know,
I am tired of traveling.
Yeah, exactly. I'm tired of you know, especially just the peanuts. You know, like I don't want to go 5-6 hours for $100 or even $300.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, so I used to have to do stuff like that every once in a while to make ends meet, and I don't have to do it now, so I'm not gonna.
You're on a hard line.
That's right. Instead, he does this podcast for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, fuck it. I get I get to work out my artistic muscles talking about fucking middle-aged men.
Shrooms and shitting yourself.
Yeah. Shitting myself, quit suicide.
For the greater good of society.
That's right. Yes, for the better of society. That's right.
I don't know, man. So how long has it been, Darique, since you know, obviously it's always a work in progress, but how long has it been since you've, you know, felt uncomfortable? I mean, you seem like you're more comfortable in your skin than you have been even maybe in the last 5 years or so.
I honestly feel like everything has happened by design.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2020 was a game changer for me. You know, that's when I gave up the culinary industry because they were never going to pay me what I deserved, you know, and I got tired of being relegated to, you know, immigrant or, you know, something, that kind of treatment. And so, yeah, when I switched careers and started like spending more time looking within myself and discovering my own identity, that kind of played a part with me. And with that came emotional intelligence and resilience.
Do you think that maybe the military stunted your growth in that regard?
Yes. I was.
Like that's a good point.
Kind of took away your individuality. So like you were being who they told you were.
Right. They hammered
so
it out.
It stunted your growth to where it took you this long to discover who you actually are.
Yes. And my children paid the price for it. They really did, you know, because I couldn't I scrambled to find myself. I feel like I scratched and clawed to get out of the mud, you know, and you know, nobody did it for me. Nobody gave me some soothing words or something that was like an elixir that helped everything. I had to figure it out for myself. And I am so glad that for once in my life, I finally put myself on the front burner instead of the back burner, you know, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because
we get so used to our roles, you know, the roles that we play, the husband, the father, the worker, you know, all these
and how
things.
we're expected to behave in those roles.
Yes.
Right.
And, you know, emotions when it comes to men, let's be honest, not many people really give a fuck. You know,
no, it's true. I mean, there's also double standards that work against us as men, you know, and that's one of them right there. I mean, you know, just to make it simple, you know, a domestic violence situation, you know, a guy hits a woman, he's a total piece of shit, you know, and she should tell somebody, yada, yada, yada. You know, some dude goes and says that his wife hits him all the time. People are going to call him a pussy.
Yeah.
like, what do you do? So fucking, does it hurt? Like what?
I heard one of the realest things on social media not that long ago, because they said, say something that might upset everybody. And the dude said, if it wasn't for social support systems, there'd be just as many deadbeat moms as there are deadbeat dads. And that, I know that touched nerves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where's the lie?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can argue against it. You know, really the only argument really is the men didn't give birth. The men didn't have to carry him for 9 months.
Yeah.
You know, which I think that's the starting and ending point with most of those things. You know, if you talk about abortion and whatever else and whether or not a man should have an opinion, you know, things like that.
And I wonder how much of our society gets caught up in the performance of gender identity too, you know?
Right.
You know, men are supposed to be masculine and women are supposed to be feminine, and there's absolutely nothing else, you know? Like, I'm sorry, Prince was a feminine man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was the bomb.
Yeah.
So,
and got more pussy than all you motherfuckers put together.
Indeed.
So what's more manly? Like, I remember one time I had a guy, I put up a post. Again, I was married at the time, and we were at El Bait Shop having margaritas, and we had put a picture up of our saying, you know, we're here, we're having margaritas, out with another couple, whatever. And this dude said, real men drink beer. And I said, real men drink whatever they want and destroy vaginas.
With consent.
With consent. Right. It was a different time. But they're just, you know, it's so weird. And I think that Darique, you really touched on something with the whole helping others. And you know, I had part of what had you on my brain was Darique said like the nicest fucking birthday wish to me that I've heard probably my whole life, at least since social media began. No, but you know, Darique said some really, really, really nice things, and you know, I thought to myself, you know, the people that make it a point, because I'm the same way. I always try to make it a point to tell people what I think about them, especially if it's positive. You know, I mean, I don't go around telling everybody they're fuckheads, but I mean, I do that too. But anyway, you know, so often people that struggle themselves with all these mental things, which I think kind of all boils down to your own inherent self-esteem. They tend to make it a point to reach out and tell people positive things about themselves and different things, like, you know, things that maybe they don't even know about themselves, that, You know, a lot of us don't realize that we're important to somebody or somebody looks up to us or anything like that because our own self-esteem, our own maybe inherent humbleness won't let us. But, you know, Darique said something so nice that it just made me, and I try to make it a point to do the same thing. And I think we all should, you know, if you really think highly of somebody and they really do something to make your life better in any way, shape, or form, you should definitely tell them. And I think it makes you feel better too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I got the blueprint from women. I
You're,
see them do
you
it
know,
all the time.
yeah.
Oh, you got a blueprint?
Outfit. Ooh, girl, I see you.
They do.
Yeah.
They tend to build each other up until they want one of their husbands or something. But up until then.
This is the theme of this pod, man. Bill just makes an amazing point, and then it goes right off a fucking cliff. Right,
I'm here for it.
It's so
it's
great.
The juxtaposition for me. It's like drinking a.
No, it's not. I'm not
like drinking a cold beer in a hot shower.
Right?
No, it's true. They do. I mean, women do tend to build each other up enough, but women will be fake as fuck about that shit and turn around, you know, behind the back. You know, dudes are less like that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
What we'll do is we'll build each other up, but for the most part, we roast each other.
Oh yeah.
Like that's almost how we show we care is we roast each other.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to turn around and say shit behind their back because you just said it to them.
Right.
Yep.
Your point, Bill, earlier, just a few minutes ago about telling people how you feel and things like that, I think just leads again into what we're trying to do on this podcast as far as breaking the stigma of what men are supposed to be and that they're not supposed to have emotions. They're not supposed to have those types of feelings. They're supposed to be hard and mean and not let their feelings be known. And that's another aspect of what we need to shatter when we talk about those things.
Well, my whole point is both things can be true.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be
one or the
you're
other.
not automatically a soft dude because you're going to therapy. I'm not fucking Jeremy Stevens or anybody by any means, or John Bones Jones or anybody like that. But I'm also a person that I think most normal sized men would not walk up to me and tell me I was a pussy to my face. So I think that you can have both things. You can still be a tough guy. In fact, I would argue it's tougher to go.
Yes.
A tougher guy goes to therapy. I think you're a pussy if you don't go, if you need it.
Right.
And I'm not going to be that guy that says everybody needs it. Maybe some people don't. It's fine. But I think a lot more people do than are willing to admit it.
It definitely does improve how strong you are to be able to endure fuckery.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like, I think I keep saying emotional intelligence, you know, I think it's important too. You know, we have to be able to monitor ourselves to understand what exactly we are feeling. You know, for the longest time, when someone would ask me how I'm doing, I give the standard answer. Good. Fine.
Fine. Yep.
Because it's a greeting. It's not really inquisitive.
Right. They don't really, they're really not asking.
They don't really want to know.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. I really don't want to know.
I've come to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, but
I always
at the
say
same time,
that's my answer.
I matter to me. I have
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what the hell I'm feeling. So when a loved one tells me what's wrong, I might be able to contextualize it, you know, instead of going,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I had this thing happen yesterday that goes to Bill. You know, I told you that there's been a few men's groups that I've been in. And a gentleman that was in my men's group came up to me yesterday morning before mass, and he walked up to me and another guy, and he said, do you guys have a second? And we're like, yeah. And he said, he proceeded to tell us that his wife had just gotten diagnosed with brain cancer and had surgery within a day, and they weren't sure what the prognosis was and so on. And he said, I'm doing all right now. He said, but I just wanted to tell you guys. And I thought, what a profound thing for a guy to be able to just walk up to two men that he knew cared about him and was open enough to say that. And it was his way of saying, listen, at some point I'm probably going to need some help.
That takes courage.
That takes a lot of courage. And you wouldn't do that 20 years ago, maybe. You know what I mean? You would just sit in your kitchen and worry for your wife and take all of it on yourself. So,
well, I think that people are getting to be, more and more open just in general. I think all of us kind of across the board are starting to do a better job. I think that I've been a pretty open person my entire adult life, but I think that I was an anomaly. And so I think I'm becoming less of one now. Like, I don't think we're sitting here reinventing the fucking wheel or anything. There's people out there doing the same thing we're doing right now.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we don't have a fresh perspective on it. It doesn't mean that it's like I said, I want this podcast to be something where we have a good time talking about hard things.
Right.
I mean, you look at your best teachers, the classes you did best in school were the teachers you liked the most.
Right.
Teachers you liked the most were the ones that had the funnest class.
Yep.
So, to me, that's kind of what this is. We're trying to have the funnest therapy session.
Karuna, can you please remind me, what does EMDR stand for? Eye movement desensitization and something.
He sent me a video. You should send that to Darique too.
Oh, the tapping thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
All right, Karuna, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And this probably is a good spot.
Yeah, we're gonna see you again, man.
To invite Darique back on. Whoops.
Yeah, were you just fucking hanging up on us? Jesus Christ.
I hit the wrong button.
Reprogramming.
Dude, I'm 20 minutes past we normally go. I'm punch drunk at this point.
Is that what it is? Were you drinking that Revelation?
I was, yes.
Whiskey.
The tapping one is of the basis of EMDR. That's right. So
yeah, he said eye movement desensitization and reprogramming.
Right on.
There you go.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. Darique, thank you so much, man, for
thanks for having me.
Coming on, and we gotta chop it up here soon in person for sure. Yes, I thought maybe you're still in Missouri, so now that I know you're in Des Moines, for sure.
I feel compelled to leave it better than how I found it.
Yeah. Well, my door's always open, bro. So
yes, sir.
Let me know. I would love to join you guys.
Absolutely. You gotta fucking smoke weed though if you come over. I will make you.
I'm just can't do it. I'll eat half a mushroom. That's as good.
Half a mushroom. That's how you know. That's how you know he has no fucking idea. Nobody eats half a mushroom.
I have no idea.
When my son was like 15, 16, I think we're sitting outside and he goes, "Hey, Dad," and you could tell he's a little worried. He's like, "Dad, what would you say if I told you that I tried marijuana?" And I just started laughing. And he's looking at me like, what? And I was like, dude, the fact that you just called it marijuana tells me it's not a problem. We're going to be fine.
Good dad. Good dad.
All right, y'all. Much love. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Keep an eye out on Three Beards Media on all social medias. We're launching something pretty special that's going to benefit a couple NIL programs at Iowa and Iowa State next month. So keep an eye out for that. And be sure to join us. Like, subscribe. And as the ladies from Hot Mess Happy Hour say, give us a 5-star rating. And if it's not 5-star, keep that shit to yourself. So,
all right.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.